Okay, so this is my 8th time trying to record this vlog because I can't seem to put my words together and explain what I want to say. But so no matter what I say in this one, I'm uploading it and then I'm finishing this one. So it is 4:30 in the morning right now. I've been trying to fall asleep for the past few hours and it just hasn't been working because I've had a lot on my mind. I've been tossing and turning and I figured might as well talk about it. Might as well just get it off my mind because to a certain extent it does involve you guys. And basically, I'm afraid of you guys. I've been feeling lately like the boy who cried wolf, or I guess more so in my situation, the boy who cried love. And looking back at 2013, I did a lot of stupid things, especially in the later half of 2013. And I've been looking at my past relationships, especially the past two. And I think that's what's got me feeling like this, like kind of scared of you guys, and I guess scared of myself to a certain extent, and just kind of feeling like the boy who cried wolf, because I realized like with both Sydney and with Pepper, I had a really hard time getting over them. You know, it lasted, I think with Sydney, it was about like 2 months before I finally just moved on, and with Pepper, it was about a month and a half, I guess, before I just kind of accepted and realized, like, it's over. But with Abby and with Taylor, it was like a day of a span or two. And then, you know, I moved on with life. And it really shouldn't be that way. And for a while, I just kind of like, oh, well, I'm just getting used to this feeling, so it's easier. But looking back, no, it was really stupid. And I've been kind of reassessing my past two relationships. And I think I know why it's been like that. It was Sydney and with Pepper, I honestly think we were compatible dating-wise. You know, we had a lot in common. We enjoyed each other's company. It was a mutually enjoyable thing. And I think those relationships I have really no issues with. Then there's Abby. Abby was probably the stupidest thing I did in 2013. I'm just going to say it. I was kind of blind back when I met her. And now looking back at it, now that I'm have a more level head, I realize how stupid that was. We had absolutely nothing in common. We had no common interests. We really had nothing we could do together. Basically, the only reason why we were together is when we met, I was in a really bad place. I was really lonely. Everything had just recently happened with Pepper. I drove across the country for her and it didn't work out. It was pretty heartbreaking. And I just kind of wanted to feel loved. And Abby was in the same situation because a few months prior she got out of her very first relationship. So we kind of met each other and we realized, we basically liked the way the other person made us feel. And that was our entire relationship. And it was doomed to start. And I think that's why when it very first ended, that's why I was really, really upset about it, was because I was like, wow, now that I realized, like, I'm not going to feel that way anymore. I'm not going to feel loved anymore. And that really sucked. And I don't mean in, like, a subscriber kind of loving way. I mean a relationship kind of loving way. And I do believe I loved Sydney and Pepper. I mean, I fucking drove across the country for Pepper. Obviously, there was something there in my heart. I believe I tricked myself into thinking I loved Abby and Taylor. Considering, like, 2 days after, like, I broke up with Abby, I was just like, all right, whatever, on to the next thing in life. And with Taylor, literally, like, the day it happened, basically, I was just kind of accepted and was ready to move on to the next thing. So, obviously, I just kind of tricked myself into believing that I loved them. Well, I may have, like, loved them, but I wasn't in love with them. Definitely not. And with Taylor, I just kind of realized she wasn't real. At least in my eyes, I was basically dating an imaginary friend. And I think I actually mentioned this, but I'm not 100% sure. That she just... It's like she never... The person I was dating didn't exist. And I think that's why I had such an easy time getting over it. Maybe it was because of the way she acted and it just completely killed my attraction and I wanted absolutely nothing to do with her. Maybe that's why. But either way, Basically, like, the last time I've had an actual, like, girlfriend, now that I'm thinking about it, was probably in August when I was with Pepper. And, Abby and Taylor were just kind of like pseudo relationships. But I decided to make myself a promise and make you guys a promise because I don't want to be the boy who cried wolf, because I feel like that with the past two relationships. I'm like, oh guys, this is special, this is amazing, and then it fell to crap, and I realized it wasn't. It was, just pretty much all in my head. I was making it out to be so much more than it actually was, because I was in the moment, and it felt awesome in that moment, but looking back, it wasn't what I thought it to be. So I'm making you guys a promise and myself a promise, and my next relationship will be different. And I'm definitely going to approach it in a different way too, because with the exception of Sydney, I've rushed into every single one of my relationships. Pepper, Abby, and Taylor, I all knew them for only, a matter of days before we started dating, which is really, really stupid. I knew Sydney for about a month and a half before we started dating, so that was the exception. But I'm definitely going to become friends with a girl before I date her. So if you couldn't tell, there was a bit of a skip right there, and this is part 2 of the vlog. I know I said I was just going to record it and upload whatever I say, but right after where I stopped, I really just kind of started skipping over my words, and I couldn't think of what to say, and there was just like long, awkward pauses. But I like the way the first part of this video came out, so I'm like, I'll pause and I'll think a bit, and I figured why not just skip to the part where why all of this is on my mind, why I'm suddenly thinking about this, why I'm suddenly thinking about like all my past relationships and what went wrong and what went right, and like thinking about what I want in the future and how I'm scared to tell you guys about things, and because apparently I'm so desperate for your guys' approval. I think like the main thing that's making me feel like this was when I first started dating Taylor, there were people like, wow, he has a girlfriend already, and it really kind of made me feel like shit, because I knew I was rushing into a relationship, and I felt like I was being judged because of it, which I obviously was probably a good thing. Like, I really want your guys' approval, and I really want you guys to be supportive and happy for me. And when I'm doing something stupid, like I probably was with Taylor, you guys should, even if you guys do speak up though, the thing is, like, I probably won't listen. Basically, here's the story. Back in November, I've been kind of subtly hinting at this too in recent videos, but back in November, I ended up making a friend that I mentioned in the last video, who's become a really, really close friend of mine named Bree. And she was like 8 hours away from me. So when we first met, she was in Oregon, and I live in California. And so when we first met, and I knew how far away she was, that was just kind of made me think, like, whatever, there was a bit of an attraction there. I thought, wow, she's really cute, and we just had like a really good like connection when talking. We never got bored talking to each other, but the fact that she was 8 hours away pretty much made me think, like, why bother? I just kind of put it on the back burner because I was really focused on having a close relationship like I ended up having with Taylor. And right before I met Taylor, like right around my birthday, is when I kind of started to look at the situation with Bree a little different. And I'm like, should I reconsider a long-distance relationship? It depends on the circumstances, an 8-hour drive isn't that bad. I can go there in like a day. I could wake up early, leave, and be there by the afternoon, as opposed to the 42-hour drive to Tennessee, which I'm never doing that again. And then I met Taylor, and it got put back on the back burner, and I just kind of stopped thinking about it a while. So technically, I guess Bree kind of got friend-zoned during this time. And which, for the most part, I think was honestly the best thing that could have happened. I'm glad I didn't make a move back in November. I'm glad I didn't make a move, because that would have been kind of rushing things, and this exact opposite of what I want to do. And because she did, I guess, technically got friend-zoned for a while, it gave us a chance to grow even closer as just friends with no feelings or really anything else in the way. We just kind of bonded. We really got to know each other and get really close as friends, and she became one of my best friends because she was really, really supportive of me. And, when I was having trouble, she would listen to me, and we just randomly goof off and talk about clef keys, and we both really like clef keys. after everything happened with Taylor, I did something I'd never really done before, and I kind of stepped out of my shoes and tried to look at my life as if I was an outsider, so I try to get a more clear-headed perspective on what exactly was going on. And I kind of realized some things. Like, the night I found out what was going on with Taylor, my very first reaction was, I want to talk to Bree. I want to, tell her what's going on because I know she'll make me feel better. Because every time I talked to her, I felt happy. And I started to think about all the times when I was still with Taylor, how I would end up stop talking to Taylor, and I'd end up talking to Bree until like 2 or 3 in the morning about the just absolutely most random things. Like, we've had so many conversations about how we're going to take over the world using clef keys, and that's a world I want to live in. And then I took my friendship with Bree and I compared it to my friendship with my friend Robin and Rusty, and I realized there was a difference, and I couldn't really figure out what it is because I trusted both of them. Like, let's take Rusty and Bree. I trusted both of them. I knew I could talk to them about anything. I tell them my deepest secrets, and they wouldn't judge me or think any different of me. That they'd always be there for me. But when I looked at Robin, I felt more of like a sister. And when I looked at Bree, I felt like there could be more. Like, she didn't feel like just a friend to me for some reason, which is, I guess, always how I kind of felt, but I was preoccupied with Taylor, so I just didn't think anything of it. And we made the plans to meet in San Francisco before anything even happened with Taylor. So we had the plans to meet for some time, and taking a step back and like looking at my life from the outside perspective, I started to think, is this like a sign, I guess? So I ended up telling her that, I was looking forward to San Francisco because maybe it'd be our opportunity to see if there was anything else besides friendship. And I was really, really nervous about this because I'm like, okay, there's a good chance I'm going to like fuck up our friendship and make things really, really awkward. And it turns out she actually felt the same way. And, she's pretty much, like, had feelings for me since pretty much since we met. But she never said anything because of Taylor, and she was actually going to end up saying something the same day I did, so I guess great minds think alike. But we've been discussing it more and more, and the very first thing I said was pretty much, well, not the very first thing, but I said it right off the bat, like, nothing is going to happen until we meet in San Francisco. I'm not rushing into a relationship, despite the fact that I've known her for, I think, like over 2 months now, so technically wouldn't be rushing. We know we kind of like each other. We know we like each other, but we're not rushing into a relationship. We're going to wait until we meet and see what happens then. And I think that's probably the best decision. And, we've been discussing relationships, and we know we both want, like, an open relationship, which is something I've never... Okay, not like we can date other people. I mean, like, we tell people about it. I want to point that out. And that's something I've never had before, because every girlfriend I had, as far as I know, is kept me a secret. I know Sydney kept me a secret. Pepper kept me a secret. Obviously, I know why Taylor kept me a secret now. And as far as I know, Abby said she told her parents and her friends about me, but, her going completely AWOL all of a sudden, I don't know. But that's something I was super excited about, because... Bree was like, fuck, dude, I want to brag if you're my boyfriend. I'm like, that's really awesome. And then I realized I was being a hypocrite because I didn't want to tell you guys. And that's something that shouldn't happen. I shouldn't be afraid of you guys. And this is going back to what I said earlier, where I promise with you guys, with all my heart, my next relationship is gonna be different than my last two. I'm not rushing into this I'm not gonna be rushing into my next relationship. I had to get this off my chest, and I had to tell you guys because I felt so guilty for keeping this from you guys, and I almost felt like I was deceiving you guys and going behind my back because I was afraid you guys would think, this is just me rushing into something else, and I am not rushing into this. I promise you guys, like, with all of my heart, if I'm lying, you guys can, like, take over my channel and start showing pony porn for all I care. It's gonna be different, and you guys are gonna meet her in San Francisco. We've had ideas to do things before that, like on this vlog channel, like over Skype or something. So I hope you guys don't hate me and don't think I'm being stupid, and you guys can listen to what I've been saying today, because this should show like how much your guys' approval and your guys' opinion means to me. You know, when people thought badly of me seeing Taylor so fast, it like legitimately hurt my feelings and made me feel real shitty. And so that's why I've been so scared to tell you guys, because I felt like the boy who cried wolf, or the boy who cried love. But it's like maybe this time the wolf actually is here. So I'm sorry, I guess. I don't really know what to say. This has been bothering me like to the point where I can't sleep, and that's really weird, but I do feel strongly about her, and I think that's why I've wanted to tell you guys so badly, because it's been bothering me, and I felt like a hypocrite in that I was going behind your back, and I promised I would live my life on this channel, and that's what I'm gonna do. So now you guys know what's going on. I've tried to explain this the best I can to make you guys hopefully see my point of view and know I've thought this through. I've looked at the situation, and I truly believe that it actually will be different this time. And yeah, I'm gonna try going to sleep now. So thank you guys for listening. Good night. By the way, do you like my new hoodie? It's a shirt with a built-in hoodie, and it's the greatest thing ever.